I can hear it. That clock is tick, 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 ticking away, and it's after 11 o'clock. You know what that means. It means it's time for your favorite show and mine, Countdown to Armageddon. And I'm your host, Publius, bringing you the latest and greatest of what may be out there. And today I want to go back a little bit in the news, in case you missed it. I'm going to go to the Epoch Times. And as we scroll down, we see, dated May 7th, 2019, the Supreme Court unanimously rebuffs Biden administration on warrantless searches for handguns. This was actually written by Matthew Vadum on May 17th, 2020. It was updated on May 18th. And let's read what it has to say. The Supreme Court unanimously rejected Biden administration arguments in a case from Rhode Island. The police should be allowed to enter homes without a warrant to seize handguns. Now, this is, of course, all part of that red flag garbage. The ruling in the case, Canigula versus Strom, Court File 2157, came May 17th. Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President of the Gun Owners Association of America and the affiliated Gun Owners Foundation, praised the decision. The Supreme Court today smacked down the hopes of gun grabbers across the nation. The Michael Bloombergs of the world would have loved to see the Supreme Court grant police the authority to confiscate firearms without a warrant, but the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that the Fourth Amendment protections in the Bill of Rights protect gun owners from such invasions in their homes. Bloomberg, the billionaire former New York mayor, is an activist and major founder of gun grabbing groups. The case came before the High Court for oral arguments 2 months ago, as Joe Biden and congressional Democrats began pressing for aggressive new restrictions on Second Amendment gun ownership rights, including controversial red flag laws, which allow gun seizures from law-abiding gun owners with limited due process, in the wake of highly publicized deadly mass shootings in March at Boulder, Colorado, a supermarket, and the Atlanta area spas. Police generally cannot conduct searches on private property without consent or a warrant. In Katie versus Dombrowski, the Supreme Court held in 1973, the police may conduct warrantless searches related to community caretaking functions, but only for vehicle accidents. Since then, the principle has become a catch-all for a wide range of responsibilities that police officers must discharge aside from their criminal enforcement activities. The First Circuit of Appeals had stated in the Canigula case, community caretaking doctrine holds that police don't always operate as law enforcement officials investigating wrongdoing, but sometimes as caretakers to prevent harm in emergency situations. These are generally called welfare checks. Sorry, that's not in the article, but that's what they call it. It's when the police come out and check to see if you're okay. Now, Edward Canigula had no criminal history and no record of violence. He had been married to his wife for 22 years when, on August 20th, 2015, they had a disagreement in their home in Cranston, Rhode Island. The argument escalated. He produced an unloaded gun and said, "Why don't you just shoot me and get me out of my misery?" Worried he might be suicidal, his wife asked the police to conduct a welfare check. The husband went to the local hospital briefly after the police assured him they weren't going to take his 2 handguns. After he left, they seized his guns without a warrant, telling the wife his life and others could be in danger if they left the guns in the home. The police refused to return the weapons, and Canigula sued, arguing the community caretaker exception shouldn't apply inside the home, the most protected of all private spaces. During telephonic oral arguments, on March 24th, Department of Justice lawyer Morgan Ratner supported the city of Cranston position, arguing police have to be free to act in potential emergencies. Although there have been a lot of questions this morning about whether this is an emergency or extenuating circumstances or community caretaking or something else, the label you give it is not nearly as important as the principle. And the key principle is if someone is at risk to a serious harm and it is reasonable. Sorry, let me read that part again. And the key principle is if someone is at risk of serious harm, it is responsible for officers to intervene now. That is enough, according to Ratner. Well, writing the Supreme Court's 4-page opinion in the case, Justice Clarence Thomas noted dryly Katie versus Dombrowski precedent, which he indicated applied to police responding to disabled vehicles or investigating accidents. The question today is whether Katie's acknowledgement of these caretaking duties creates a standalone doctrine that justifies warrantless searches and seizures in the home. Thomas wrote, and it does not. Thomas wrote that the federal district court ruled in favor of the police, and the First Circuit expanded on this, stating that the police often had non-criminal reasons to interact with motorists on public highways. The appeals court extrapolated from the Katie ruling a freestanding community caretaking exception that applies to both cars and homes. The appeals court's community caretaking rule goes beyond anything this court has recognized, Thomas wrote. The acknowledgement that the police officers perform many civic tasks in modern society was just that, a recognition that these tasks exist, and not an open-ended license to perform them anywhere. In a separate concurring opinion, Samuel Alito wrote the Supreme Court is properly rejecting the broad community caretaking theory. At the same time, he noted that the case implicates another body of law that petitioners glossed over, the so-called red flag laws that some states are now enacting. Such laws, he wrote, enable the police to seize guns pursuant to a court order to prevent their use for suicide or the infliction of harm on innocent persons. Although this particular division doesn't address those issues, provisions of the red flag laws may be challenged under the Fourth Amendment, and those cases may come before us. Acting U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelonger and Mayor DeSisto, sorry if I'm not pronouncing those right, attorney for Cranston, didn't immediately respond to the request by the Epoch Times for comment. Okay, so what happened? What happened is they just got slapped. Joe Biden and the gun grabbers of this country have been looking at red flag laws as a way to come in and steal your guns. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't go into a person's home without a warrant or extenuating circumstances. And if he's not in the house or doesn't get permission, basically you got to get your warrant or have your probable cause. Now, one of the most highly abused things in modern policecraft is this community caretaking function. That's whenever you're sitting on the side of the road and your car's broke down, the cops pull up behind you and ask you if you need any help. Well, now police departments are using this caretaking function to basically harass citizens. And in this case, they went beyond that. The guy was already at the hospital, and they came back and stole his guns. And then they wouldn't give them back to him. Now, that's adding insult to injury. And thankfully, the unanimous Supreme Court, means all 9 members, said, this ain't going to work. That is a precedent that is just, ouch. You know, the Biden people were like, but. The court just slapped him silly. And this gives us hope that this court may actually see that gun grabbing just ain't going to work. And the Second Amendment actually has a meaning. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. Number one, red flag laws are specifically targeted. I mean, Thomas specifically says, this, excuse me, that was Alito that stated that, no, these so-called red flag laws can be challenged under the Fourth Amendment. There we go, folks. We actually have somebody doing their job on the court. It's an amazing thing. And what makes this even more special is, after so many things where our courts have stood by and allowed us to be screwed over, finally we see the courts are standing up and saying, nah, you're going too far. So it gives me hope. Let's see how well it lasts and how long this lasts. Either way, this has been Publius for your Countdown to Armageddon. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Tell me what you think about the judge's rulings. Do you think it's right? And keep in mind that none of these red flag laws have been shown to be able to do a damn thing to stop what everybody's claiming they're going to go for, which is mass shootings. So let's see. Either way, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, notification button, so you can be told when the next one's coming out. Share this video with your friends, family, cohorts, and I will see you next time on the Countdown to Armageddon. Thank you.